So, greeting everyone. This is another edition of a Creators Light podcast, Harness Your Gift. And this is a special episode because this is my music poet series that I just started off for this year. And on the line, we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
How are you? How are you? My name is Raasikh. I am a songwriter, poet, producer, originally from Atlanta. However, now I live in the DMV area right now.
I appreciate you. I'm glad to have you on.
No, man, thank you. This is actually my first ever interview podcast situation. So I'm very, very excited for it.
Yeah, most definitely. And for all who don't know that follow me, I'm originally from Georgia myself, Warner Robins. So just give y'all a quick backstory. I was performing in Sterling at Johnny Ray's soul food spot out there, and it's on Instagram. It's Caribbean Yankee Music, but his name is Michael Dow. Him and his wife Dorothy Dow. They host this open mic once a month, and I was performing when I got off stage. Raasikh, he was there, and he was just talking to me about the performance and things of that nature. So we chopped it up, and little did we know we both from Georgia and everything. And kind of from there, I follow him on Instagram and, just kind of seeing, what he had going on as far as with his page. And he has great music, and he just somebody that's just really down to earth. And I respect that because at the end of the day, people who are transparent and just kind of honest with themselves, it kind of reflects the way they kind of handle and just deal with life in general. So I appreciate that we've been able to kind of, keep in touch. And now we're here doing this podcast. So like I said, I'm glad to have him on, and it's great to be able to kind of see that even though I'm not back home, I can still make a difference with somebody that's from the same state that I'm from, and we're definitely trying to do things and create our own lane. So again, I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too, bro. Like I said, that's I know being from Georgia, it's like a certain energy of like helping and assertiveness that we always have with people, especially our people. So you just kind of just see that, and we recognize the energy. It is something that just comes out of you, or something that is like normal to us. So I definitely appreciate it as well.
Yeah, most definitely. So just to get right into it, let them know where you're from originally in Georgia, and then what made you, come to the DMV area.
Well, I'm originally from College Park. That's the south side of Atlanta. That's where me and most of my siblings are from. Throughout my younger years, I experienced a lot as far as moving around. I experienced, some, tragic experiences, very, very young. My mother, she passed away when I was 6. So because of that, my life has kind of been all over the place to a degree, because I moved around a lot with my dad, my grandfather, grandmother, and because of that, then it may seem like a disadvantage. However, for me, I was able to get and receive a lot of different experiences, culture, and a lot of mature understanding at a very young age. So because of that, I'm really from Atlanta. However, I also spent some time in Kansas City, in the Midwest, and I moved out here to the DMV area when I was around 11 or 12. So around my middle school, high school ages, I stayed in the DMV, like with my dad. So because of that, it just allowed me to gain different culture. However, like I said, I'm very proud of being from Atlanta, very proud of being from the South. However, I will say that I've definitely gotten the most from the East Coast and the South.
Yeah, most definitely. And I can definitely get where you're coming from, because for where I'm from, and my reason for being in the DMV area was more so due to the military, and just kind of seeing the differences of how life was growing up for me, and then being where I'm at now. Different opportunities, different, way of living for a lot of people. So to kind of have that to my, I guess, like to be able to embrace that and see like just different ways of approach and the different people that you come across, I feel like it only enhances you if you allow it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure in Atlanta
Right.
you probably met you unique people and people that you learn from, but then like as you've been up here in this area, you've also met people as well. Like, okay, cool. Well, like I didn't even know that this was a thing here, or people are into this different type of maybe music or sound. So I'm pretty sure that also helped you as far as creating.
Yes, it definitely
Yeah.
did. Cause my dad is originally from Jersey. He's from Jersey City. So because of that, also growing up, I spent a lot of or some time in Jersey, in New York, being, in Manhattan, Harlem, and different places. So because of that, then me being young and also, like I said, being around my parents and traveling with them like throughout my life, it has caused me to see different cultures, being from Atlanta, that Atlanta culture, they call it like the Black Hollywood, right? Just having that sort of pride or that sort of class about yourself. However, also, being from, what I'm saying, also the DMV, what I'm saying, also growing up in this particular culture where there's so many different cultures and, DC being here, being like the direct current of the world, and just growing up here and seeing the different type of people that you meet in Virginia, what I'm saying, Maryland, DC, and also Jersey, being up there with my dad, I listened to a lot of East Coast hip hop. That's where my journey kind of started with learning hip hop and, growing up, listening to Nas and listening to, it's in the Wu-Tang Clan and, listening to a lot of those groups. So it's like, because of that, I definitely got a lot of my culture and understanding from the East Coast and also the South.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I can definitely agree with all that. And I'm glad that I was able to branch out from where I was from, because I always keep it everywhere I go. Like it's not like I forgot where I'm from or it doesn't mean anything, but it's just to be able to navigate throughout life. And as we get older, it's like, okay, cool. I can take this, bit of information, this bit of information, and I can utilize it for even better purpose and cause, because it's just being able to relate to other people, in different ways versus just having one, avenue of approach. So I'm glad, like I said, you was able to also kind of share that experience as well. Now, when it comes to just creating, because like I say, you're, an artist, multifaceted. What was the first project that you worked on? Was it like something you wrote, or was it just like a song?
Um, the first thing I started doing was writing poetry because, um, growing up, I always loved music, always had an interest in music. However, writing it was always something that I was bad at, right? Like I always had an ear for music, right? I can always hear the arrangement of things. I can always put things together. However, writing songs, being young, I was never good at it, or I never respected myself enough to think that I was really able to do it. However, what I started doing, it was probably around 20, if I recall correctly, it was like 2020. That's when I started really getting more so into the poetry. And, of course, the first things you write is always, very basic. You want everything to rhyme, you want everything to flow. However, as I started to mature in my content, I started to realize that, everything doesn't have to be that way. What I'm saying? Express what you're going through and really start being transparent with yourself, right? When I started to learn to be transparent and be real about the things that I wanted to write, then over time, like I said, I got better and better and better and better. So then when I started actually working on my first EP, last October, then I had so much content from 2020 up to, 2023. So I literally just from there, it was very, very simple for me because I literally had so much material written down. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a piece of cake now because I sharpened my pen, I got better, and I started to express myself in a much more poetic way. I started to see everything as art. So from then, it started off from the poetry. However, then with the poetry and also having experience like with producing, everything just pretty much clicked from there.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, just to kind of see the way you was able to kind of develop as an artist and just find different ways to, showcase your abilities without feeling like confined in a box. Cause I know sometimes people feel they got to fit in the algorithm to be able to excel or, get to the highest level. But there's different types of, genres and artists for a reason because it's like you don't have to be boxed in. So that's definitely great to hear. Now, with that being said, who are two artists that have influenced you and why?
Two.
And now it doesn't have to be like music. It could be a poet. It could be,
Mm-hmm.
somebody that, goes out and does public speaking. Anybody, just two people that have influenced you as far as creatively.
Mm. See, for me, it always alternates because it's like I study different people. I study different forms of art because I go a lot of things that I listen to goes also as far as back as Motown. So whatever vibe I'm in, typically that's who inspires me the most. However, it really alternates. However, I would say lately, because of where I'm at with my second project, the people who have really inspired me the most is Lauryn Hill and J. Cole.
Oh, Lauren Hill. Okay. And so for
Mainly
Lauren
because
Hill, yeah, go ahead.
mainly because Lauryn Hill only had one project, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That was her solo project. And for me, I love the story and the theme uh that she displayed on that project. And for me, when I hear music, I love things to be cohesive because a lot of times nowadays we listen to music, especially not necessarily in R&B, but mainly like, and when you get more so into the hip hop space, everything mainly sounds like a playlist, right? It's just a bunch of songs on there, and you know what I'm saying, we're gonna roll this out. However, you know, I like things to be, um, I like a story to be behind it. I like to hear a journey behind it. I like to hear, like Lily, put me in this seat and I'm gonna go on this roller coaster with you, and I want to know exactly what's going on. And for me, Lauryn Hill did that very, very, very wonderfully. When she started off in the classroom and they were speaking about love and just going through the entire, and then you can hear it through the songs where they're in the classroom and the teacher is speaking to the students. Like, I love that. So that's something that I always took with my projects and things that I work on, where it's like I want to take people on that journey with me so you can see what's going on.
Yeah, most definitely. She has done that. I was just kind of on Instagram before we got on here, and it was things like a promo for like some lounge or whatever, and they were playing one of her songs, and just to think like that album has probably been out, over what, maybe 25 plus
At
years or so
least,
now.
yeah,
It,
right. Because I
yeah,
think if
and
I,
it's
yeah,
yeah, and it's still getting played like it's brand new. You know what I mean?
exactly, because that's when that's the generational music, right? That's that timeless music, right? That's when you make something that, that's the classic, right? It don't matter what time we're in, you can listen to something and it will still relate to the moment of what you're going through right now. And that's what I've learned from her. Um yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And then you said J. Cole was the second.
Yes, I say J. Cole because for me growing up, I would always consider myself more down to earth. And J. Cole's content, for me, I was always able to relate to it. A lot of times when you listen to hip hop, you listen to a lifestyle. However, when you listen to hip hop, a lot of times we listen to a lifestyle that we're striving to get to, right? A lot of times we're looking at, I want to have that car, right? I want to have that type of girl, right? I want to be able to, travel, go to places I want to go to, and depending on the type of person that you are, a lot of those, especially in hip hop, those goal oriented ideas can turn into toxicity in a way because of how they're displayed. However, one thing I always loved about J. Cole was his transparency, right? One my favorite J. Cole album was 2014 Forest Hill Drive. And when he goes into his life, he goes into, growing up in Fayetteville and, trying to get away from violence and, meeting his first girl that he liked and, struggling with faith and, still struggling with his confidence, what I'm saying? Growing up in school, he wasn't the strongest, he wasn't the best. However, he still strived to be the best, he was still, so battling those things are something that I also dealt with as well. So because of that, I always was able to relate to the transparency that he always had with his audience. And for me, that's something that I like. And that's something that I take so that I can grow as an artist, grow as a producer, and really grow as a person so that I will continuously just have that transparency. And when I display my art to people, where they can really relate to it, where it doesn't feel like, it's like, because a lot of times in music, you can kind of tell if it's a disconnect. A lot of times when you look at the person, you look at the art, it's like, however, I want them to know like this is Raasikh.
No, most definitely, and I think both of those artists, the reason why they still have longevity now is because they're transparent and they're honest. And even when there's blogs or things, written about them, they still stand tall and, give the people what they want, you know what I'm saying? And they're just kind of, feeding their soul to a degree, I would say, with their words and just the way their production is as well, you know what I mean? Because you can have a great message, but sometimes like maybe the production is not where it need to be at. But I feel like for both of them, you're gonna get something that is gonna, it's gonna be fulfilling, I feel like.
Yes, definitely. Can I add like one more artist that's really been like prevalent for me as well?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Marvin Gaye.
Oh, okay.
I listen to a lot of Marvin Gaye, and because I've been doing a lot of history and no, excuse me, I've been doing a lot of like the study of music and studying, and from my understanding, Marvin Gaye, excuse me, Marvin Gaye was one of the first artists to have like vocal stacks. So, the way Marvin Gaye would lay his vocals and his harmonies was it revolutionized music in the 70s. So I started doing my own study, right? Because, not only do I sing, I've also been getting into a little bit of rapping, a little bit of poetry. So I've been trying to become well rounded. However, I know those harmonies and those stacks is a key element in your music having substance. And it has a level of soothing smoothness to it. And I also love how transparent Marvin Gaye was, especially speaking about what was going on with himself. We have songs like Marcy Me and, just like songs like that, where it's like, you could still listen to those songs right now, and then like I said, when we speaking about like the classic music, you can still see some of those same situations that was going on then now, back in the 60s and 70s. So Marvin Gaye, for myself, I listen to him a lot, and he's been very instrumental as far as like keeping me inspired and constantly like studying so I can get better as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those three right there, and just for their genre, just for I mean, their period of time where people would say was their prime. I mean, their impact is probably everlasting, just for the simple fact of, they utilize what they were going through, and it came from the heart. I mean, whether for better or worse, however people take it, it came from a real place versus, just a lot of surface level conversation that we hear or hot takes that we hear nowadays in society, where it's not fruitful, it's not fulfilling. People speak more death than they speak life, and that's kind of why there's so much chaos going on in the world. So all three artists you mentioned, they definitely have, I feel like, carved out a lane in history, and they created music that we, like I said, we continue to listen to today.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with you performing, or I was saying performing, but as far as you writing and everything that you've done so far, your first time ever being on stage, what was that experience like?
um well, it wasn't very long ago. It was like a month ago. And how can I describe it? It was exciting. It was very, very exciting. It was very, very exuberant. I love the energy that I got from the people, from the ones that were listening. However, of course, you always go through, a level of of nervousness or, anxiety because of the way you speak to yourself. You don't want to mess up, or, you also you want what you're saying. Cause I said a poetry piece that I had there. So you constantly want your poetry to be relatable to the crowd, or you don't know how they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? You start having all those thoughts before you go up there. However, I will say that, um, I was very, very excited, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that, and it's something that I want to continue to do.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's kind of the hardest thing for some people to kind of go through, that process of being vulnerable in front of other people. It's easy to do it behind a keyboard, or do it through via text, or things of that nature, but to be able to uh, portray yourself in a certain way in front of everyone, and basically let them hear what you got to say, or things that you've been working on for maybe a period of time. So I think that's good that you allowed yourself to gain that experience, because with what you have going on with your music and your writing, people need to hear it. Because just as if you mentioned about the J. Cole's and Marvin Gaye and Lauryn Hill, you can also add on to that lineage of people who have created not just great music, but messages that can last the test of time. Because that's what we need. Like, that's why the music from even the early 2000s or the 90s, and of course the whole Motown era, is being sampled, because it's not being sampled just because of the beat and everything like that, because some people, they're just in love with the beat. It's just that the soul and the message that was poured into that music, which they strip from the music nowadays, I feel like. So it's great,
Right.
man, that you giving yourself a real opportunity to move forward. So is there anything that you're planning to do as far as performance wise, or anything you would like the audience to know that you kind of have going on in the near future?
Well, man, I have so much going on. It's like, because, it started off with music. However, it's like I've trained my brain to be like creative in all aspects. So I've recently just started doing film photography. It's as a hobby. However, I started my page, and I've been looking to grow my page. And so I started doing film photography because I love film photography. I love the grain. I love the way, something about analog. I think I have an old soul. So all them analog type of looks and just film, and I just love all that. So I'm doing that. I'm also in the process of recording my second EP, Seek Entry 2, which should be coming out. I don't have a date yet. However, it'll probably be like the end of the summer. I'm working on that. I'm also in the process of starting a clothing brand called The New Rulers. Of course, it's going to be a black owned business. It's for our people. We are the real true rulers. So, starting that. And, what else? And I also look forward to doing more performances, very, very soon. So I'm kind of everywhere with things. However, I just really been in a really, really creative mindset or mind state, and I'm just involving myself in different activities where I can really exercise like my mental power with that. So yeah.
Like, so I'm definitely proud of what you have going on. Being somebody that, like, we didn't grow up in the same area, but we are from the same state. And for me, being somebody wasn't born in this area and where I come from, and then to kind of see somebody that has a similar journey, man, the only thing I can do is just say, just that it's definitely inspiring and motivating for anybody who feels like you can only make it where you're at. Like, sometimes you have to get outside of what's comfortable to be able to really find your potential and figure out what really works for you. You know what I mean? So it's good that you're seeing that. And I'm pretty sure with what you got going on from the fashion and the film and the writing, I know everything is going to, you know, manifest itself into what you want it to be, because the thing about it is you're putting the time in, you're using the efforts and not excuses. And then ownership, that's kind of a thing that I'm kind of hearing with the thing, with everything that you're kind of detailing, like, hey, being able to be an owner, not somebody that's just kind of going along with the day to days, like you want more in life and stuff like that. And I think that speaks volumes when you're producing and you're creating these songs and stuff like that, because that substance is always going to be there, because I like I say again, I definitely salute you on that.
No, I definitely appreciate it because like even like within my journey, like I didn't go to college, right? So after school, I basically like started working and got busy. And because of that, like no knock to people that do go to school, because I do think that, of course, depending on what type of lifestyle that you want and things, it's important. However, when you don't go through it, and especially like being from Atlanta, it's like you automatically go into the entrepreneurial like mind state of, all right, I gotta be my own boss, and I have to think on how I'm gonna do this and do it now. You know what I'm saying? So now you start to apply yourself. You start to go through like experiences that really cause you to really see the type of person that you are. And a lot of that isn't something that's like handed out to you. Not saying that people from college do get handouts, of course. However, I am saying that like once you start to become an entrepreneur, and people who are entrepreneurs know that you're going to a lot of things and you'll bump your head, right? You'll bump your head. You'll bump heads with family. You'll always hit some sort of ceiling. However, once you continue to just push forward, then you'll really start to see the power and potential you have. So I'm grateful that I've always had my dad and my grandfather in my life. So because of that, they've always instilled those principles of being a man with me very, very young. So they always, especially my dad, because my dad's a little older. He grew up in Jersey, in the 60s and 70s. So, he has a really, in a way, like street smart mentality. They kind of taught me early on to where it's like, yo, you got to be your own boss, right? And you have to, not saying that he wouldn't support any direction that I went into. However, he always gave me or showed me the principles of why it's important to be independent as a black man in America. So now at 26, I'm 26 now. So now at 26, I have those type of principles instilled with me. So now when I'm doing music and when I'm doing clothing and other things that I'm involved in, I always keep that same mantra with me. And things is hard in the beginning, just like you probably understand with music. Your first song is probably the hardest one to do. You know, like for me, my first one and my last one is probably it's typically my hardest ones to do. However, once you in that mode, once you get those gears going, once you know what I'm saying, you start burning that oil, then it's like you start seeing like, okay, we really got something here. So that's pretty much the mindset I just carry like with life. So
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to invest in yourself, and sometimes, you start at, like you said, a certain level, but you work your way up, because I feel like it's better to say what's next or what now versus what if or what could have been. You know what I mean? Too many times
mm,
people sit on the sidelines and then they're trying to, give their opinions on what's going on in the game, but you're not one of the players. So it's like,
mm-hmm.
you can see how people are doing what they, need to do, or maybe falling, or maybe, what I'm saying, not reaching the finish line, but they're still trying to get back up and stretch out as far as they can to get to that next goal and that point. And I think that's just kind of what we see in society right now. There's a lot of seers. There's a lot of doers, and there's a lot of those who, what I'm saying, just kind of, along for the ride, or they like to kind of be people who post more about things versus just going out there and do it. You know what I mean? So,
Oh,
and that,
man,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and like I said, just not living vicariously through somebody else. Because even with going back to the artists you mentioned, you mentioned J. Cole, you mentioned Lauryn Hill, you mentioned Marvin Gaye. It's one thing to be influenced by them, but then to live your life as if you're them, or by every word they're saying, that sometimes I feel like distorts an artist as well, or us as people, because you, instead of turning them as an inspiration, you turn them to idols. And when you worship another man, another woman, that's going to come with some problems. You know what I mean? So I think it's great
Mm-hmm.
that you're standing on your own too. You've had influential people in your life, not celebrities, but your own quote unquote possibly superheroes in your life,
Yeah.
has made a difference for you that they didn't wear no pink. And one thing they did was, they showed you love.
Uh-oh. You sound really far away.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
That's better.
Oh yeah. So like I said, they gave you the tools that you needed to go out here and be a productive citizen in life, and also a productive black man as well, and understanding the codes and ethics that we should live by.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's something, man, you know, what we were speaking about, that's something I've been going through in music the most. I have friends, cause me, being an artist, and being someone who has a very jovial, like spirit and just energy about myself, I know a lot of people, right? So a lot of young sisters, a lot of young people come up to me and be saying, oh, you should make a song like this, you should, make a song like a summer song. You should make this type of song, that type of song. Have a lot of the songs that people want me to do is not the person that I am, right? Because I look at the music they listen to, I'm like, I can't do that because it's like it's gonna change the image that I want of myself, right? So even people tell me, you got to make this type of song, man. I'm like, I can't. I literally have to be myself doing this. Whatever song or the vibration that I go through and I experience, those are the songs that I'm making. And even with singing, right? People have told me I can't sing, right? People have told me I can't do this or do that. However, when people are saying that, typically it's because they're comparing you to someone else, you know? So I even went through that phase where I thought I couldn't sing, right? I thought I couldn't rap. You know why? Because I'm comparing myself to Nas, I'm comparing myself to J. Cole, I'm thinking, damn, I can't sing because I don't sound like Usher, I don't sound like Chris Brown, so you're comparing yourself and you're trying to sing like them and you can't because everybody has their own unique style of doing things. So because of that, you got to find your unique style of how you want to do it and be bold and be confident in it. So once I started to do that and I started to really learn myself, right? I had to learn my voice. So I had to learn what it can do, what it couldn't do, even rapping, right? Tone. And you probably understand this from being a rapper with tonality. You got to learn that, right? You got to learn what you're good at, what you're not good at. So because of that, once you start to realize what your game really is, you got to perfect it. However, opposite man, I most definitely have gone through that phase. However, I will say that my core family has been the ones that because I also because what I'm saying. I'm from the South, so we come from big families. So I got like I got like six sisters, four brothers. I got cousins, uncles, nieces, nephews. I got a lot. However, my core family in the ATL, they really support me. We have Zoom calls a lot, and they're always like, "We love the music, man. We want to hear more." And they constantly sharing it with their people and their friends. So, a lot of my supporters are in Atlanta, and I do love that. And because of that, then it gives me the confidence to just be myself and don't try to do anything or sound a certain way that's really not me. Because a lot of people want me to make something you would consider like a club song or a young girl, she wants you to make a song that's a little more seductive or something like that. I'm like, that's not the way you would want me to do it. I can't do it that way. So I go, in fact, I go through that all the time, all the time.
Now, I definitely get that. In my journey, when it comes to this with the music and just I would say expressing myself or detailing certain things, I've come across that where people, some have had constructive criticism, some point blank, you shouldn't be doing this at all. You this and that. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? How about you just, is there anything else you want to do? I've heard it all, probably just as you have. But one thing for me, I'm going to put the motor behind what I'm doing and what I'm talking about and make the most of it. So I just think that in itself that makes a huge difference because a lot of people they can talk about what they want to do but they don't have the hustle, they don't have the grind behind it to see it actually happen. And
Yes.
one and the difference is it's nothing wrong with being a different type of artist. You don't have to be an artist that sounds like somebody, look like somebody. And then when people are saying, man, we tired of hearing that, we want something new, and then something new comes, then it's just like, man, like, okay, dang, this new person came out and they have all this going on, and that could have been me if I would have stayed course. So sometimes you gotta sometimes put those blinders on and not see left or right, just keep going forward, because there's going to be people, it's going to be distractions. It could be distractions in form of family, friends, even people in your relationship with, like, why you doing this? You know, make more time for me. Or it could be family who could feel a certain type of way. You know, well, how
Mm-hmm.
lucrative is this? Are you making money? Are they paying you for
Mm-hmm.
this? Is this a hobby? You know, what are you doing? You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? What you
Mm-hmm.
talking about on the phone? You know what I mean?
Mm.
What you sound like? So all that,
You
those
already know.
naysayers, it gets old. But one thing for me is I put all that into my music, all the distractions, all the what ifs, all the, you know, just all those different things. I find a way to turn that into a way of, I would say, high frequency music, to where it's like, hey, this is something where anybody of all ages can enjoy. But at the same time, you know, I don't try to label myself a certain way, like, hey, I'm specifically a gospel artist, I'm specifically this, because at the end of the day, there may be a song or two that I may want to do that's not like it's, you know, anything all out the way, but it's just something that may not correlate, you know, with maybe an image or a title that I have. So sometimes you got to be careful what you allow people to, the titles you allow people to give you, because then it's like you trying to play into that. But I feel like for you and for myself and many other artists that we've seen around in DMV and other areas we've been to, that we just want to be our own unique self. Because at the end of the day, there's I would say two things for sure that's always going to be something that people, you know, want to hear about: love, and they want to hear about, you know, living and bettering your life and stuff like that. For some people, they say it's corny until they get in a certain point in their life, like, oh man, I need some motivation, I need somebody to inspire me, I'm going through this tough time, you know, and things of that nature. So I just feel like just stay the course, and it's okay to walk the journey alone, because we come in this life alone anyways, and people can tell you how they feel about you and stuff, but then certain things can happen where you can see this person was never for me. You got to stay on your journey, and you got to be honest with yourself, man. And I hope that you continue to do that, and your family and friends that's been there for you and stuff like that, man. It's an honor and blessing to have that for sure.
No, absolutely. Like you said, that's something I went through as well. Like, man, it's like, man, every artist goes through this, you know, because it's the same thing. Not necessarily with my dad and once, however, you know, your friends, right? You know, they may not support it to the degree that you would want them to, because what we think success is monetary value. Like, people don't realize, literally, I'm successful if I have an idea and I did it. That's success. Like, whatever your version of success is successful, right? If you had a thought, I need a new car, right? And you got the new car, you're successful. If I said I'm gonna put out music and I did it, I'm successful. I succeeded. However, people only see what our worldly understanding of success is, the monetary value that is placed on something. So yeah, they don't see me in the studio with J. Cole and Drake, and I'm bumping heads in the industry, and I'm taking pictures. Well, people don't even realize that most pictures that people are showing ain't really what's going on in their lives. It's what they want you to see. However, that's another conversation. However, you know, they don't see me with a billion, you know, a million, a billion streams, and they don't hear me at Coachella and Summer Jam, and I'm so, in their minds, you know, hey, you know, it don't have a lot of value on it. But like you said, you don't never ask, but speak to someone and ask them, like, what do you get from being this? Right? Like, I've learned a lot. Like, I recorded my first song in October of last year. I've learned a lot about myself from now till then. And I've grown much as a person because I've done this music. I learned I treat people differently. I treat, like, my relationships differently. I treat my friendships differently, like, because I'm mature and I was able to see myself in the music. Like, literally, I was going through like a little situationship during the process of me making this project, and I figured out that I was the problem through me writing about it. Like, literally, I'm like, damn, I'm going back, I'm reading the lyrics, right? I'm like, you need to figure this out. Like, cause what's the common denominator and it came from me writing and singing about it. So people don't even realize, like, the therapeutic journey sometimes you can go through just going through a new experience, and it reveals yourself, like, to yourself. It's like the mirror. So it's like, it's a deeper meaning to me than just like, oh, you know, I just want to be famous, or, you know, I want a record deal, or I want this. It's like, man, this is something that's caused me to grow as a person so that I can become like a better man, you know? So
Yeah,
because I
most
look at it
definitely.
from that. So because I look at it from that direction, then I don't focus on what people tell me the type of songs I should make, or the support that I get from people that, have known you since you was, man, like a little boy, or things like that. I just like, man, whoever's going to gravitate with this, that's the vibration. Because, music, every song has a certain frequency to it, and whatever frequency we're vibrating at that time, that's why we vibe to that music. That's why typically when people go through heartbreaks or whatever, they listen to a certain type of music, because that's vibrating at the frequency that they're at. So same thing, I'm making the music at a certain vibration, so the people that's going to gravitate towards it, and I know you understand this too, the people that's going to gravitate towards that is going to gravitate, and that's your flock. That's the people that you got to keep cultivating and growing, and you know and that's what's important. So yeah.
No, I definitely get that, because the hours and the months and sometimes the years put into crafting these projects, writing, going through life, and then having to chronicle your journey and stuff like that, and putting it out there for others to kind of get a idea of who you are. Because the optics and social media can paint a picture that you were saying. People aren't really living like that, and just to kind of touch on that subject you kind of was bringing up about people who taking pictures with certain influential people. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the end of the day, you can also be influential in your own way. You can have your own version of success without having to piggyback on somebody else, because some people, that's all they do. Like, oh, okay, let me take this picture with that person. Let me take this picture with that person. And all you see is pictures with them with somebody else versus seeing what they actually got going on. You're like,
Right.
hey, I see you always doing something, but what do you do? You know what I mean? So it can
Right.
kind of be confusing like that. But like I say again, there ain't nothing wrong with taking a picture with somebody, but at the same time, just understand the image that you're portraying to other people who are trying to get an idea of who you are. And that's something that I made sure to kind of work on and be attentive to. But at the end of the day, just be your own original self. I mean, you don't have to be like nobody else, because yeah, I mean, it's literal clones that they're trying to make out here in society as well. So don't
Right.
create one, yourself. We got a message real quick, so let's listen to that.
Peace and blessings to the panel. Did I miss it? Did you play the music already?
Oh, okay. So this episode is discussing music artists and poets. So I'm not going to be playing any of his music on here, but on the actual full version that will be on YouTube and other streaming services, I will have, with his permission, I will have his music on there, and then a possible
Of
excerpt
course.
from a performance of his. So you will get that, not on this version of it, but once it goes into editing, it will be on there. So you will get definitely his music and all his links as well. So for those who want to follow him, make sure you do that. And before we close out, can you let them know your most recent project and also how to follow you?
Yes. So my most recent project, it came out on April 17th of this year. It is entitled Seek Entry One. My name is Raasikh, so you kind of see the play on what I'm doing. So it's entitled Seek Entry One. Came out in April. And is there a way is the links going to be there for the Instagram, or should I share it with them?
So well, if you have it on this app here that we're using, you can put your links on there, but they will also have all that information when I upload it to all the services, streaming services.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Yep, most definitely. But yeah, Shalonda, I appreciate you asking or inquiring about his music. Like I said, I didn't know if he wanted to maybe play a snippet of one of his songs over the air or not. But like I say, it's up to him. Before we close out, because since he asked about it.
I don't have it set up right now because I wouldn't
Yeah.
know how to do it. However, yeah, on the YouTube or whatever, any links or anything you need, I'll definitely give them to you.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, again, I want to appreciate you for being on here. As I said, you're somebody from the same state as me, and just to kind of see what you have going on and your influence, regardless of the numbers from a social media app. Like I said, you're making a huge impact, and I greatly appreciate what you have going on and what you will continue to do. And for all the listeners out there, I appreciate you for checking out this podcast here. Like I say, when it actually comes out in full, you're going to be able to, hear his music. You're going to see a live performance and other things of that nature as well. And all his links will be there too. So again, thank you all so much. And with that being said, this has been another edition of a Creators Life podcast, Harness Your Gift. This is episode 2 of my music poet series. Y'all have a blessed one. Thank you again, Raasikh.
Thank you, bro. Yes, sir.
Peace.